Since October 7th, all of us have been in awe at the self-sacrifice of the many soldiers who are standing at the front lines, defending our homeland, defending the Jewish people. Tragically, we've also read time and time again of the soldiers who've been ripped away from their families at too young of an age. The devastation is overwhelming. How do we properly memorialize so many people? It's too much. The Orthodox Union started an initiative called Biyachad Lanetzach to demonstrate to those in Israel that we are together, we are Biyachad, we're with you, we're thinking of you, Lanetzach, and we're going to memorialize these soldiers forever. The 3 weeks is a time that we try to rectify the disharmony that broke the Jewish people, that ripped us apart. And so specifically during this time, we're going to be reaching out to different shuls, to different leaders of the shuls to find out from them what they did, how they connected to their soldier, how they brought more unity to the Jewish people, and how they're bringing comfort to the family of their bereaved soldier.
We are here with Rabbi Yossi Katz of Anshei Chesed of Linden, New Jersey. It's really an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. So I was very taken when you shared with me a little bit about the soldier that your shul was memorializing. I was wondering if you could share with us the soldier's name and a little bit about the backstory of this soldier, this kadosh, this holy individual who died al Kiddush Hashem. If you could tell us all a little bit about him.
Sure. Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk about Boris. I'm going to start even prior to that. When I first got the message about this program, I was very excited because part of what I view as the mission of, at least my mission and mission of our shul, has been to connect us here in Linden to what's going on in Eretz Yisrael and Israel. And especially as this war has gone on and it's become incredibly emotionally taxing, we've also tried to figure out how to navigate our lives with, living in America with what's going on in the backdrop. It's been a tension, been very difficult to really navigate that and to work with, we have our lives, we're living our lives, we're comfortable, we're healthy, we're safe, and then we have what's going on in Israel. And we've run a number of initiatives, but this really spoke to me because this is a real visceral way to connect to Am Yisrael as a whole. I got the package, I opened it up, I read the name, Russian name, his name is Boris Duvitsky. I can't pronounce it, which is funny because I think all my great-grandparents are Russian. Okay. And I quickly did one Google search, and I was actually disappointed because, of course, everyone is holy and we want to memorialize everyone. But for me, this was a way to connect. And I had these dreams, these visions. We're going to connect with the family. We're going to talk to them. They'll tell their story to our shul. Well, our shul will tell them what we're doing for the soldier. And immediately I saw this was a Russian Ola who went to Israel when he was 16, 17, by himself, was a lone soldier, had no family in Israel and no family seemingly that was Israeli.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, fine. Look, we'll put it up. We'll do a big launch. But ultimately, the vision of connecting to the soldier in the way that I had thought about initially wasn't going to happen. So that was what happened. I then, being, I guess, a millennial, I know how to use Facebook a little bit. I think people above me don't know how to use it, people below me don't know what Facebook is anymore. So we're all good. I started going on Facebook and putting in his name, putting in names of people I saw at the funeral. There was an article online at the funeral, used Google Translate for Russian. I finally found an uncle in Israel. And from there, stalking all his pictures, I found a comment by his uncle's relatives in Russia.
Oh, wow. This is good detective work. This is very
good detective work. If anyone wants to hire me to be a personal detective, I'm happy for that. Eventually, I got to a certain individual, a Mikhail, I don't know how to pronounce that, and I realized he was some relative of Boris. He was either another uncle, a brother. I wasn't sure. But it was all in Russian. There was a memorial page. There was the Russian Facebook's translation, which it makes half sense and half made no sense. I messaged him. This is ready. We got it for Pesach. I messaged him. I think it was ready on Yom HaZikaron when I finally found this. And he responded, I'm actually Boris's father. I just landed in Israel for Yom HaZikaron ceremony, and I'll talk to you afterwards.
Unbelievable.
So we had a connection. And then we get talking. He told me a lot about Boris. Boris was born on July 9th. We'll get back to 2002. He grew up in Russia, and then he went to an Israeli school for high school and never came back. And it was an Israeli school, it's a cultural school where they have certain subjects revolve around Israeli culture, Jewish heritage. Boris himself was not a practicing Jew. And then when he turned 18, he said he's going to stay in Israel and enlist. He enlisted in the Armored Corps because his great grandfather helped liberate I guess Germany or wherever the Soviets were during World War II, and he was this hero. He even met him. He passed away. He passed. He was 97, so that's when Boris met him, and he was very inspired by his life and said he wanted to fight for the good cause, fight for the Jewish people. His friends describe him as an incredibly reliable person, fun person, someone who just enjoyed being with friends, loved to cook. His father said half the pictures they have of him were him cooking.
Mm.
And he really came into himself as a real mature, individual over the time in the army. Although he did go back every summer, he had a very close connection with his grandparents. He loved his family, so he wasn't like he went to Israel from Russia and never went back. And he loved the army. His father said it was one of the happiest times in his life. Got to tour the land, had these close friends, was cooking, playing instruments, guitar. He loved mechanics, always loved mechanical stuff. So he was the loader on the tank. And then on October 7th, when the war broke out, he was in the north. He was an active soldier. And they went down south. They went into Gaza. I don't remember the exact date. And they got hit by an RPG. Some damage. They were all fine.
Oh, wow.
Happened again. And then on December 17th, third time they hit by an RPG, and that's when he lost his life.
Wow. Wow. You know what I find amazing about this is that I love what you shared about the fact that you didn't recognize this person. You couldn't track them down. We don't even have his Hebrew name on the poster that we sent you. I remember when we made that, we tried to track down Hebrew names. Not everyone has a Hebrew name, or not. We didn't necessarily know their Hebrew name. And, some people got what I guess, maybe we'll use a term like celebrities of people who are very famous, people that everyone knows. And the truth is, like you said, every single one of these soldiers is a whole world, a whole galaxy unto themselves. And thankfully you had the energy and the wisdom to be able to track it down. But like the story that you just shared about this individual inspired by a grandfather to go ahead and follow in his footsteps and to leave his family behind and to go, it's just unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. And it just really exemplifies the point, exactly what we were trying to accomplish, in the sense recognizing that every single one of these soldiers, every single one of these Kedoshim was really a world unto their own. So that's really incredible.
Well, I want to just follow up about just being, the hero, if you will. Klal Yisrael is the whole of Klal Yisrael is just the broad Jewish community, and it's people that look like us, the people that totally don't look like us, don't even have, as you pointed out, a Jewish name, and yet these are going to be the heroes that we're going to tell our children about.
Beautiful, beautiful, unbelievable. So tell me a little bit about what your shul did to commemorate Boris.
We launched the idea actually of Boris. It came through a drasha. That drasha we talked about the idea of Knesset Yisrael, and the idea that Klal Yisrael is there's a body of Klal Yisrael. It's not just a number of people. And we talked about what it means to give our life for Klal Yisrael, what it means to live for Klal Yisrael. And then we launched this idea from the OU, put it in the lobby. Opposite, we have a display we already put up. It went up the first week where the children of the show, we really struggled. How do you, especially in the beginning of it, how do we shield our children? Now, I didn't feel comfortable then putting the hostage posters up. We have a lot of young kids. We don't have a lot of older kids.
Mm-hmm.
And what we came up with was to make a display of the hero moments, which in the beginning, every Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp and everything was flooded with these, inundated with these pictures. We made a display, and then over time, we've added to the display, names of soldiers who have been killed, pictures of them, people who've mentioned drushes have gone up there. So it's there, but it was layered, and over time, that was just the approach of our show in terms of how we wanted to handle with the children and everything.
Very so his approach. Yeah.
He's right there opposite this display, an Israeli flag. And then we did a couple of things. One is his father reached out to me a few weeks ago and said Boris's 22nd birthday is going to be July 9th, which already you can imagine would be an incredibly difficult day for the family. Right. So we did a campaign, do a good deed for Boris, do a mitzvah for Boris. And I wrote up, I think I shared it with you, a little biography of Boris, sent it out to the shul, put it on my WhatsApp status, which I know is viewed by the broader community here in Linden, which is not just us Modern Orthodox Anshei Chesed, it's also the thousands of Hasidic families that are here. There are a number of non-religious families. And I said, not only do the mitzvah, but let me know so I can tell a family. And I sent a nice little document with pictures of kids giving tzedakah, people davening in minyanim all over, or whatever it may be, giving shiurim. to the family, and the father said something something to the tune of, you can't imagine what this means for us. Again, it's just an incredibly difficult day.
Right.
And there was someone else thinking of them. And he was already surprised, like, why us? He said to me, why us? Like, why are you choosing us? I'm just, I'm a random Jew in Russia, of all places.
That's so thoughtful and such a beautiful way of giving the family nechama during this time. They just to know, like we've heard over and over again, when a family knows, like the exact thing, like, why are you reaching out to me? Who are you? And knowing that a whole community, not like you said, not just your shul, which would be substantial in and of itself, but the Linden, New Jersey community is thinking about him is just such chizuk and such comfort to the family. Beautiful.
That was a bit of a shift. I think initially when I had it, it was, how can I connect the shul to Israel? Then I realized this is an opportunity to somehow, in a very small way, let the family know we're thinking of them.
Right.
And which led us to part two, and that is what's on everyone's mind. Well, every shul rabbi's mind is, what is Shmirat Saras Simchas Torah going to look like this year?
Yeah.
And I'm sure there'll be a number of initiatives. The OU will roll things out, the RSA will roll things out, the Young Israel will roll things out, and every organization under the sun will roll something out. But I wanted to do something that would take some sort of investment. And so we said, we're a small shul. We're going to finish Tanakh together. Everyone's going to take Perek, Parsha, Sefer. We're going to start now, again, because there's the time. If you start now, then no one has an excuse not to, because even the most busy people, between now and Simchas Torah, you can find a few minutes. We're actually going to give out a Tanakh to everyone who finishes. We got the beautiful Koran Tanakhs. And that also as well, all being done for all the soldiers, but specifically, we're talking about Boris there as well.
Tremendous. Ashrecha, really, you and your kehila is blessed to have you as their Rav, and just such creativity and such guidance. And I so appreciate you sharing the story about Boris and what you're doing and the chizuk and the nechama that you're giving the family. It's really, really incredible. Hashem should just give the family of Boris much nechama and should give you and your kehila just so much bracha and atzlacha because of your incredible avodas hakodesh. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing these inspiring stories.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity.